Today, Bruce and I welcome Mike Collins to the show. Mike is a serial entrepreneur, a dad, a grandfather, a husband, a race car driver, an amazing friend, and convicted felon. Mike has a great story and awesome perspectives on work, success, and all the crazy stuff going on in the world today. Please enjoy episode 3 of the Ministry of Freedom show. All right, cool. So this would be episode 3.
Yep.
It's exciting. The first 2 are all up on, I think, every platform, and they come out Tuesday mornings at 6 a.m. So run us down the list of where.
We got the YouTube channel, Rumble, Spotify, of course, and all the podcast platforms.
So Apple
Podcasts.
Did you say Amazon?
Google, Amazon Music. Yep.
So we're pretty much everywhere that people could find content. They can find us if they search it out.
That's right.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
I like it. And we are also working on the website. Yep. So we'll have a website and we're going to have a merch store, which will be pretty cool. Some shirts and some other stuff up there, which is going to be kind of fun. And socials are going to be working.
Yes.
Pretty soon.
Really soon.
Yeah. So that's also, I'm excited about that. And the show's not perfect, right? I don't know that that's not something we're really about, but I was thinking
we're not perfect.
Right. Exactly.
As humans.
I was thinking that a lot of operators wait until things are perfect before they want to get going. So I call it the perfection paralysis. That, we can't do business yet. We can't start. We can't sell a product. We can't turn the sign on. We can't have people come in because things aren't perfect. And those are the people that get left behind. And so I thought it's like the people that say, I really want to go to the gym. I want to have a healthier lifestyle. I'm going to start that when I lose 10 pounds. As soon as I lose 10 pounds, I'm going to the gym. Or, I've had a little pulling on my heart and I thought it'd be cool to maybe take my family to church and maybe seek out the Lord a little bit in our lives. And what might that look like? Soon as I'm better, I'm going to start going to church. As soon as I get my life together and I'm cleaned up, I'm going to start doing that. And it's just such backwards thinking. God's willing to meet you where you are. There's no need to clean up. And I think God's power at work in your life will help get you there if that's something that you want to do. But we're going to get moving and figure it out.
I'd appreciate it if people were more clean around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least my level of clean.
Right. Well, we're all there. So we're good.
And most people are.
So for those of you who are with us early on in the journey, and maybe people that come on later and go back and watch some of the stuff we're doing now, I think if we could jump into the future, the shows are going to seem a little more polished and a little more together and closer to what we want them to be. But right now, we're figuring it out and we're just going to go. And it's exciting to watch that. Today's the worst we're ever going to be at this.
We're just going to keep saying that.
Yeah. And I think we should say that about everything. I think the guy that's a brain surgeon should wake up and after 20 years and tell his wife, hey, this is the worst I'm ever going to be at brain surgery. Because if he's not getting better. And if he's not getting better, he's getting worse. So he's a worse brain surgeon that day if his plan isn't to get better.
Yeah.
So every day you're doing something should be the worst that you are at it. I think that's the right mentality to take. And I think if the audience embraces that, that's a good enough nugget to get us rolling. So before we jump in to the surprise guest, and the content today, I want to acknowledge Veterans Day because freedom's obviously a pretty big part of the show in the name. And the show, freedom's what the show represents, and we'd have none of it without, I guess, the word's overused, but heroes of the armed forces and their families who go a little bit not acknowledged. So at this time of the year, it's always a time to reflect and thank them. So thank you. We live here in the Omaha metro area, so I wanted to give a shout out to a cool business. I've never met these people that do this business. They don't have any idea who I am or that I would mention them on this show or what this show is, but they're relevant to me, and I wanted to talk about them for a second. There's a local business started by middle schoolers called Flying Old Glory. So what they do is 5 times a year, they come out to your house. I think it's 5 times that they'll come out and do, what they do is they put an American flag in your yard, and they're nice flags too. So Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, Patriot Day, September 11th, and Veterans Day. They come out in the morning, so they're out there at dawn, and they're planting flags in your yard, and they leave them there all day, and they come back after the sun goes down, and they pull those flags. It's a really great business. It's $45 a year, I believe, unless inflation has impacted that. So it's a pretty good bargain, and it's young kids who have a heart for the flag and all it represents. So much stuff is showing us how especially youth is kind of not going that direction. I thought it was worth giving them a shout out. If anybody local is interested in getting with them, their email is flyingoldglory@gmail.com.
Yep, we got it up on the screen.
Yes, we do. Good stuff. Thanks for doing that. I just think it's a worthwhile venture that they're on. I don't know what areas they do, but if you're interested, send them an email and see if you can get hooked up with them.
That's awesome.
It'd be nice to see a lot more flags out.
And it's cool that there's middle schoolers that are that entrepreneurial on something like this.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Right. So speaking of entrepreneurial, so today it's cool to have Mike Collins as our first guest.
Whoop, whoop.
Mike, so first off, tell everyone who you are, where you come from, what you do, anything you want the audience to know about Mike Collins.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be your first guest. That's pretty awesome. I met you, I guess, in 1992. If you can imagine that, 31 years ago, man.
Yes.
The first time we met, I came out. I can't remember if the first time we met was either Lollapalooza or when I came up to the university with Myers. You remember?
It was one of those. And so I will say, so before we go too much further, not to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, cool.
If you're going to say a lot of times in this show, do you remember? A lot of that's going to be no.
Probably hazy.
A little foggy.
Defer to Bruce. Bruce, do you remember?
Just automatically
the first
assume
time,
that I have zero memory
You do.
of it.
Right. So yes, it was at one of those things.
One of those things. That's
It was
right.
relatively, because I was right after that. I was about 6 months after that.
You're right. About
when I met
93.
you.
Yeah, for sure. I met you in 93.
We started to integrate my friend group into your life.
Poor
Right.
Mike.
Which
No,
I want to go
look,
back
it's
in
amazing.
time and
So-
say it worked out okay.
Yeah.
But
I didn't have friends then. I don't have a lot of friends now. So, I mean, actually, the fact that you introduced me to Bruce,
correct.
I mean,
Yes.
my friend counts at like 4 or 5 maybe today. And
Mine
honestly,
is
they were
at
all made back then.
2.
And just so that everybody knows how close we are, my firstborn is named after these two guys.
James Michael.
That's correct.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
That is
Actually.
pretty cool.
We probably ought to take him to dinner at some point or something.
Or, let me live for free for months.
I always thought.
Support me.
I remember when James was being born and Bruce was telling me, what his name's going to be and why. I remember I was so excited, and I never shared this with Bruce. But as I was hearing that, I was kind of faking that inside. I was thinking, is James not acceptable? But okay, I'll take it. I guess it's better than Michael James.
Right, that's exactly. I thought Michael James, and that's actually you're obviously had a little bigger ego than me because I just thought, well, I should be first. But you thought you should be both.
I've heard of 2 people with 2 middle names,
Right.
So then I, of course, went with James Coddington.
Michael James.
No, so it didn't work. So continue.
We got it.
Yes.
We got it.
Yeah, so we're close. Yeah.
So yeah, look, I'm all about entrepreneurship. I love that. I love America. I love the flag. And I don't think there's enough patriotism in the U.S. anymore. I don't think being a patriot means being a nationalist, which all of a sudden this is horrible things to be in the country today with a lot of people. And obviously I'm not one of those people. I think that capitalism is made for all of us. I think that everybody comes to the U.S. with a chance to do whatever they want to do, whether they were born here or brought here. And what's sad is that people that are moved to the U.S. are 7 times more likely to become a millionaire than people that were born in the U.S., even though they come with nothing. But they come with the idea of what America can be to everyone.
That's
and the opportunities
amazing.
that are here, and they put their head down and they go to work, and guess what? They succeed. Whereas a lot of people in the U.S. that are born here take it for granted. And that's a lot of what we're dealing with in the U.S. today is a lot of people take things for granted.
And perhaps those people that end up being millionaires don't see any work as beneath them.
Correct.
So they're not walking into some place and saying, I'm kind of here for management. Can you manage cleaning the toilet? Because that's where we start here. Then you work up to fries.
First, you're going to be washing lettuce.
That's exactly right.
Someday you might get to be the assistant manager. That's when the big bucks will start coming in.
First, you get the job. Then you get the khakis. Then you get the girls. I don't have any idea where that came from, but it comes from something, and I stole it, and we used to say it all
the time.
So that's good. No, that's really good. Anything else? Is that about encompass you? Because I've got a lot more stuff that encompasses you that you're forgetting.
Oh, you do?
Same.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, look, man, I'm
so we'll get into that.
Right on.
We'll get into that. So the show certainly comes from a Christ-centered, non-religious place. That's kind of what we do. It's the ministry, and there's freedom, and it is a show for everybody. So I think that as we grow the audience, I'm hoping a lot of those people, I'm like, all the non-Christians come and listen to us and leave it that way forever. Now, maybe some people get a little curious and they think we have something interesting to say, and maybe they pick up a Bible, and that would be part of the mission. But it is a show for everybody, and we're not going to Bible beat. But what we do is we discuss a scripture every single episode. And when we have a guest on, I reach out and say, hey, do you have a scripture that you know of, or you might have, that's impacted you, or you memorized, or something you want to talk about? So this morning, a couple hours ago, so I didn't give you a lot of notice, I sent you a text and said, hey, you got a scripture? So I was thinking to myself, probably not, I mean, but that's okay. Yep. And 60 seconds later, Mike comes back with Proverbs 14:23. I thought, okay, big shot. Look at this guy, Pastor Mike, coming on. So I thought, okay, Proverbs 14:23. I'll rattle that right off. Nope, had to go look it up because I don't know it. Did you know that, or how did you come up with that?
Google.
But would you Google like business scripture?
I actually Googled, that you have to work for what you get. So I put in Bible verses that relate to getting what you've earned.
Yeah. And what a great way to, even if you're thinking about, I'd like to maybe open the Bible, but I don't want to do the creation part or this and that. Type in, what do I like? Well, I like business, entrepreneurship, Bible. And then you're going to get some stuff, aren't you?
Yep.
Because it talks a lot about that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. So I'll read them. So I came up with a few translations, or I looked up a few translations. Proverbs 14:23, New Living Translation. Work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. Passion Translation. If you work hard at what you do, great abundance will come to you. But merely talking about getting rich while living to only pursue your pleasures brings you face to face with poverty. And the Message Translation. Hard work pays off. Mere talk puts no bread on the table.
Right.
It's good stuff.
And I'm showing the Voice translation. That's prosperity comes from hard work, but talking too much leads to great scarcity.
Right.
It's good.
I know.
So many people, and that's when, with what you started doing here, I know you're going to be successful, whatever you set out to do, because you're going to work at it. You're one of these people that you work. Bruce works. I mean, you guys set your mind out and you put in the work, and that's what you have to do. And there's so many people today that will look at you and see where you live or the car you drive, the girl you're with, whatever, and they're going to be like, well, I want what he has. But they're not willing to do what you did to get here. And that's what I see, like a lot of the things that are going on in the U.S. And everyone wants what other people have, but they don't want to do the work. And our government can sit here and talk about, well, if somebody makes, it used to be $250,000. If somebody makes $250,000, we should take everything they have. We should actually stone them in the street and take their stuff and give it to other people. Well, now I think the number's $400,000, that it's okay,
it's gone up to there.
That's crazy. That's how much inflation has affected. Yeah.
It's acceptable to hate people.
Inflation has even impacted entitlement mentality. I'll be
seriously. So all of a sudden, it's okay. And people all the time, like, they talk about Elon Musk. I love Elon Musk. This guy, he didn't, if you look at the top 5 richest people in the U.S., none of them inherited their money. They maybe had some legs up. They had education. Some of them didn't even have that. And they go out and they work and when they get.
How many degrees do you have, by the way?
Oh, by the way, I have 7 college credits to my. Yep. I failed out of the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. I was put on academic probation after my first semester, and then they didn't want me to come back after my second semester any longer. So, I got 3 credits first semester and picked it up. I did get 4 credits the second semester.
Do you remember what you got your credits for?
Yeah, I do. The first semester was English. I got 3 English credits. And then the second one, they had a psychology program that was called Keller program, where you just go in and you take the test. You don't have to go to a class. You study, you go in and you take the test. And so that's obviously geared for somebody like me. I can read, retain, and then go take a test. I'm not really good about listening to the class or instructors and a lot of stuff like that. I'm really not good with authority figures. And, I guess it usually works out for me.
It's worked out great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's been some bumps.
A few bumps,
Well, maybe we should talk about the bumps as we move on.
That would be awesome.
Because those are good.
Yeah.
I meant your bumps. Just to be clear, he seemed a little enthusiastic about it.
I thought you were better now. I thought you said we were all going to have to take a bump. And I was like, I'm really not into drugs.
Right.
I've really never been into drugs that much, but whatever. I guess if this is part of being on the show, this is what we do to get started for the morning.
It's not that kind of show.
Okay, perfect.
So anyway, I think it's great that you mentioned those scriptures, and they're so good, and it's so straightforward. Work and prosper, and there's a lot of Western Christian culture that is very prosperity gospel. So, and I don't want to call out a ton of they're just bad. They're maybe not bad people. Joel Osteen. His books did a lot for me when I first started coming to Christ, but this is a guy whose message, and there's a lot of them who typically their message is give money, love God, and you're going to be wealthy. And that's not necessarily true, because you can be madly in love with the Lord, and if you're not going to do anything, you're probably not just going to have wealth pour into you. Now, and he's not a nefarious guy. That's just a little more along the lines of his ministry. There are those that are nefarious that you'll find on the cable channels that will tell you sow a seed of $100 and you're going to have $1,000 come back to you. Well, no. That's not how that typically works. Now, I'm not talking about tithing and things of that nature, but what I am saying is, the message is, and it's very clear going back to Proverbs, and that's Old Testament stuff of we're expected to work. We have to put in, we have to reap and sow. And that's a great word. And maybe we're all about the same age. So we're early mid-50s guys. So we're to that place where younger people will listen to us and think, oh, there they are.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They don't understand, and that, right? So, but I think we do understand, and I think that the kids are getting indoctrinated to where hard work, what they're trying to do, in my opinion, is I think the powers that be, the globalists, so to speak, are trying to manipulate this generation of young people to find out, well, what part doesn't sound attractive to them about the American dream? Well, the work part.
Right.
So let's tell them why you should have what they have. Let's get rid of that work part. So they're trying to say that capitalism, entrepreneurship, ownership, stewardship, these are all bad things. That's what they're being taught. They're entitled to have whatever they want. And let's just tear everything down if it doesn't seem like that's happening for us. And that seems reasonable because they're going to play on their emotions and be like, hey, Johnny, you don't have anything, do you? This guy's got this house and all this. And Johnny's like, you're right. That doesn't seem fair. Johnny's 19.
No.
You should have nothing, Johnny, right? Other than opportunity.
Johnny's went and got 3 credits in college in his first
right.
semester.
And I was mad, isn't he?
And thinks that, Elon Musk has got this, or whoever. Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's Bruce.
Right.
Why do they have this nice home when I'm living with my parents?
That's exactly right.
We could take half of his stuff and then give half to me, and then I will be living well, and they would still be living well because they don't need that. They don't need all that. Yeah. They could have half of what they have, and that would be fine for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the danger, is someone else deciding what we should have. So capitalism cannot exist without freedom. So that's why they are going to attack freedom. And we see our freedoms attacked everywhere. You can't do and say what you want anymore.
Right.
Well, one side can.
Right.
Can pretty much get away with saying anything. But if we are going to have a debate, we can be canceled for that. We can lose our means of making a living and building wealth And I think that if that doesn't change pretty soon, I was having this talk with Bruce yesterday, his sons, I think are going to be that's the last chance.
Yeah.
I think that we're getting close, not to sound doomsday, but I would say that it only takes about 3 generations of indoctrination of the youth for history to be so altered and so manipulated that the message of the American dream, work hard, get up every day and try and do it in an honest way and have ethical entrepreneurship and work really hard. And not everybody's an entrepreneur, even an intrapreneur. Yeah. You're working in somebody's business and you give it your all, and you're working with integrity and honesty, and you're stewarding what they have in a way that's honoring to God and to them. You're going to move up and you're going to have all those opportunities. The only thing we're guaranteed in this country is opportunity.
Yeah.
We have that.
Right.
Now, is there an argument to be made for perhaps some classes, races, genders have more innate opportunity at the beginning than others? I think that's a discussion that should be had. And are there race issues in the country? There are, but there aren't race issues that are as impactful, I don't believe, as class issues.
Right.
I think the disparity comes from, if you're born into money, you can be a total dolt and squander your youth away pretty much, and you're still going to have enough opportunity there to be able to do something that somebody else might not have.
Agreed.
So we do need to work as a nation on how to have more equality and equity from a perspective of class. So folks that were born in an inner city situation, single mom, white, black, Mexican, whatever, they should be afforded opportunities that everybody else has.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I don't have the answers for that, but I think recognizing that it's an issue is important. And I think that we have an election cycle that started right now. So I think that those people that don't have the opportunity are being sold a bunch of goods that just aren't true.
Right.
Yeah. And so do you guys think that opportunity is a zero-sum game at all? So in order for people like that to be able to get the exact same opportunity as, say, the wealthy person, like a lot of the legislation that's been around this has been the way that we make the opportunity for the person that started out with less have just as much opportunity as the person for more. We take the opportunity away from the person that has more. We take some opportunities away from them and give them automatically to that person.
I say the answer to the question is no, that's not the answer,
right?
Because we're acting like there's a finite amount of opportunity in the country.
Right.
There's not.
I agree.
There's an infinite amount of opportunity. Now, maybe that goes a little bit to an affirmative action conversation. So there's only so many slots at this school. So if you're talking about somebody that comes from a legacy family from Harvard, I don't know why I use that horrible institution as an example, but school X.
Yeah. It used to be.
Yeah,
have a good name.
Agreed. So let's say that there's somebody from a legacy family, and maybe their grades aren't quite there, and they're not the most stand-up young person. That person shouldn't get the opportunity ahead of somebody that comes from a lesser school, somebody that has worked really, really hard, has the grades, is a person of character and integrity. That person should get that opportunity. Now, if all things are equal for candidates and there's things aren't always equal. There's always going to be some deciding factor. I think what I'm trying to say is if there's only one slot left, it shouldn't automatically go to the legacy. And it shouldn't automatically go to the female African American.
Right.
That's where the argument and the discussion needs to be had.
Yeah.
But opportunity, it just go back to the scripture. Who's working hard?
Right. Absolutely.
And on a personal level, just from emotionally, and I think that this is where we get into a gray area. If we had that legacy person and, like you said, an African American female, emotionally, I would lean towards the African American female, just from an emotional standpoint, because I would feel less bad about the person with legacy missing out on that opportunity than I would,
because they might have other opportunities.
I agree with that, and I just don't think when Biden was doing his Supreme Court nominee, and he said, I'm nominating an African-American female. Well, of lawyers, only 1% of lawyers are African-American females. So he said, I'm going to choose the best from 1%. Now, not the best of the best 1%. I'm narrowing it down to this. Obviously, there's people that work their whole lives, and now they're being, I'm an Asian male. I'm not allowed. I'm not even going to be looked at. I mean,
I think that's the most dishonoring and the most insulting to
everyone.
the black female.
yeah,
The person that gets that nomination
right.
is how they looked at in the hallway
Yeah.
and how they feel about themselves. And they could be rock stars.
Right.
But when you come out and say that to disqualify everybody else, if we have
90%.
What about in your businesses? In your businesses, I'm guessing you want the best, most
Absolutely.
qualified person
For the dollar.
Right. You want value for that.
The most I can afford.
And you want the best person. So if you have all these candidates, you're not going to be like, you know what? I need another dump truck driver. And I am only going to hire an Asian female.
Right. Right.
Now, I don't have the statistics
But they're probably not allowed.
on the percentage of active dump truck drivers that are Asian females.
Well, I've had over 100 dump truck drivers in the last, say, 12 months, approximately. None of them were actually Asian females.
I'm going to go with like the answer from
we would
that.
have a lot of trucks empty if that was.
You remember
if we were
the
waiting
game
for her
show
to show
Card
up.
Sharks?
Yeah.
They'd ask a question and they'd always, it's a canned thing. They'd like, the question is, so it'd be like, out of 100, how many dump truck drivers are Asian females? And the contestant would say, I'm going to say that's a low number.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 1. So, right. But the point is, why would you limit that? Because you're really hurting your chances of getting the best
Absolutely.
dump truck driver.
Right.
Now, if an Asian female
Happens to
applied
be.
and is really good, you're the
There's
problem if you're
no-
like, I ain't hiring her.
Yeah.
No.
No.
And we're not those people. And I don't think most successful entrepreneurs are those people, or they wouldn't still be in business.
Right.
We need the best people.
Well, it's funny. You just.
I thought that would distract you. When you start looking over there and seeing 70s game show,
there it
you're
is.
going to be
70s game
distracted.
show right up.
Turn the volume
I
up
would
just a
say
little bit.
that
We'll listen to
number
Jim.
would, how
is
many
on
would
here.
rather
Oh, good.
spy on their husband
than on the neighbors. Unless their husband's over at the neighbor's house. Then
Yeah, I would say that that would be about 40 would rather spy on their husband than their
40.
neighbor.
Okay. Hey, Jim, thanks.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. So for some reason, Jim in this instance is an expert on whatever nonsense they asked him, and he's thought it through.
Yeah. So back to Scripture. I mean, obviously, it also talks about the part of people that just want to talk. I am the best dump truck driver.
Yeah.
I am the.
Yeah.
I need that. I work so hard all the time. How much time? How many people do you talk to? And I know you don't talk to a lot of people, Jim, because you don't like people much. But for those of us who do talk to a lot of people,
Correct.
That is
I
Every
talk
day.
to people this way.
right? Every day, somebody tells me about how hard they're working. I'm killing myself. You don't know, I'm busting my ass. You don't understand. And then they'll give examples. And some of them it's wealthy people, it's poor people. They'll give me an example of like, well, I had to go to the doctor this morning. Okay. Sorry I couldn't get back with you yesterday. I had a doctor's appointment. This is said to me. These kind of things are said to me a lot. I couldn't get back with you yesterday. I had a doctor's appointment. I don't know what they're paying their medical professional, but usually I might spend a lot of time in the waiting room, but once I'm in, I want to get in, I want to get out. But people will do that. They'll pick like one thing out of their day and just tell you, yeah, my day was shot
It's
yesterday.
derailed.
Yeah.
I can't get anything done today.
Couldn't get anything done yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to go to Home Depot. Okay. And what did you do with the other 23 hours of your day? And that's the
Well,
other
I
part.
also had to drive to Home Depot
Right. Right.
when I was in there and I'd selected my items.
Yeah.
I had to navigate the store and figure out I had to make the next decision. Self-check, normal check. Mike, this takes time.
Right.
I saw you texted me. I know it's important.
Yes.
You're going to need to make concessions for me.
Yeah.
Now, after I checked out, then there's more dilemmas and choices I have to make that are keeping me from being able to address what you need from me. That next choice was email or printed receipt.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know.
Yeah.
I got to figure that out.
Yes. It's just crazy that everybody all the time wants to talk. Oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time. Everybody has excuses. We all have excuses. We can all make excuses for why I didn't work out today. Oh, well, you know what? I didn't. Everybody has excuses. I'm just sick of it. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Don't, if you want to make time to do something, then make the time to do it.
If it's important, you'll get it done.
You'll get it done. And that's kind of what you were mentioning earlier about people wanting to work out. And I'll start, oh, you know what? I'm going to start. So I used to own CrossFit gyms. People would come in and tell me exactly what you're talking about in the intro. You know, I want to lose 10 pounds and work out for a little bit before I join the gym.
Yeah.
What? If you really want to do this, join the gym.
Yeah. So I love this line. I've overused it. What's the best day to plant a tree? 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What's the second best day to plant a tree? Today. Right? Now, this is a time of year. So we're taping this episode in, it's Veterans Day. So it's early to mid-November. No one's in gyms now unless they're serious. Do you know why? Because now it's the time where it's a free-for-all. Yeah. I'm going to eat and drink and be merry because on January 1st, I'm turning my life around.
Yep.
So I'm going to waste the next 50 days and not use 50 days to help me optimize my life and be my best self.
Yep.
I'm going to flush them away. And I'm also going to make an agreement with myself. Not only I'm not okay with staying at 0. I'm going to be a mess.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on 15 and I'm going to suck down cigarettes and I'm going to do this and live in debauchery and blow money and everything else. And we're going to have a $10,000 Christmas. And it takes me 7 months to make that money. And I'm going to figure it out January 1st. I'm going to watch my spending. I'm going to watch my nutrition and I'm not going to smoke and I'm not going to drink and I'm not going to, oh my, come on, man.
Yeah.
What if we started today?
Yeah.
Let's do something today. But you're right. People aren't going to do that.
No, and you got the first now. So yeah, that's exactly right. January 1st. But Monday's a big day for everybody. So many things are going to start on Monday. I'm going to start my diet on Monday. I'm going to start working out on Monday. And everybody says they hate Mondays. Well, now we know why, because that's the day that they let themselves down.
Yeah.
I'm going to start Monday. No, you didn't. Now you hate Monday. It's Monday's fault.
Here's their favorite day of the week, though. You know what it is? Tuesday. You know why? I have already let myself down. This starts my 6 days of whatever.
Next Monday. Next Monday.
Yeah.
I'm going to start losing weight next Monday.
You seem like you're in a great mood, Sally. How come? Because next Monday, I'm changing my life.
That's right.
Right?
But today, I'm going to eat an entire double Whopper with cheese followed up by a Village Inn pie. Because next Monday.
Can we do that today?
I actually plan on starting a diet on Monday, so yeah, why not? You guys want me to? I don't know how long we're gonna be here. I can order some stuff in.
I was only half in until you got to Village Inn pie.
Yeah, that's good stuff. What's your favorite Village Inn pie?
I don't know.
Mine?
Yeah.
Probably cherry.
Yeah. Strawberry rhubarb. It's only in season sometimes.
Oh,
Wow, special life.
I like the lemon one too.
I actually don't know what my favorite is. I just go there and get them for whatever. Oh, we're going over somebody's house.
So here, I have to bring this up.
Jim said no. So
I have to bring this up. So we invited Mike and his wife, Nancy, over to our home tonight. They're in town and I thought it would be kind of fun. So he sends me back a text and he says, cinnamon babka. So I look across the couch and I say, I'm familiar with one of these words.
So then I said, chocolate
I know what
babka?
cinnamon is.
Because cinnamon is actually looked down upon from the chocolate babka people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what Elaine Bettis told me. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So yeah.
I like, should I bring a Village Inn pie? He said no. I said cinnamon babka. He didn't respond. I said chocolate babka.
Notice
He said yes.
Didn't respond. You know why? Doctor's appointment.
Kind of
Then
busy.
Home Depot. I was super busy.
That's super busy.
Let me
exactly
get back.
right.
Let me get back with you. You don't even know we're so busy. I'm killing myself. Did you get anything done today, Mike? Well, I went out and saw Jim and Bruce, and kind of they got away from me.
Yeah, they got away. I love that line. That's good stuff. So this morning, before I came here, I jotted down a few questions. I thought, what do I want to know about Mike?
Oh, great.
And not that I want to know about Mike. I just think that it's a good audience. I think the audience would benefit from perspective. And I think they're not like, I'm not joking. I'd like to know your perspective on this stuff. You're in business. You've done all kinds of different businesses.
Yep.
Do you see a change in the level of customer service in the last 12 to 24 months anywhere you go?
Everywhere. So funny story. Then this happened down south where, obviously Southern hospitality is
Was
king.
it at Waffle House?
This was actually at a Taco Bell.
Okay.
So I have a good Taco Bell story. I walked into the Taco Bell and the girl was on her phone behind the counter. She was leaning back against a cooler, like 8 feet from the register. And I walked in and she was kind of looking off the side. And I thought, well, maybe she didn't see me in her peripheral. So I stood there for a couple minutes and I kind of get the, and she said, and I quote, "I know you're here. I see you. I'll get with you in a minute." And she continued playing her phone. And I'm like, okay. I left. I walked out and got back in my truck and went on up to the whatever the next, I don't remember where I went from there, but I went and got lunch. It just wasn't at Taco Bell. But yeah.
Why were you inside of it?
I had to use the restroom.
Okay.
So, I drink about 3 gallons of fluid a day.
Yeah.
I'm peeing about 40 times. Seems about 24 of them are in the evening at night after I'm asleep.
Sure.
After about 28 times. Yeah, 55 years old. So I have to pee 15 to 20 times a night.
I have a story of, a friend of mine, he's got I don't want to say the name of the security. He's got a security system in his place. And
it started with an A, though?
It did. Yeah. I think it's like.
Ended with a T.
Aspent.
Let's just call it APT.
Yeah, exactly.
To protect the names of
I want to protect the innocent here.
Yes.
So anyway, his security system's not working. So they tell him, okay, we're going to send a tech out. They'll be there tomorrow between 8 and 4. So he gets with me. We're supposed to have lunch that day. He says, I can't do lunch unless he's here early. Then I'll let you know. So about 3:30, he gets with me. He says, still nothing. So he's been in his house all day waiting. He says, about 4:15, dude shows up. Looks to be a teenager. He's probably not, probably early 20s. So he has to explain everything to this guy who should already know what the issue is because should have a service ticket or something. So he says, okay, so what's wrong? My friend says, well, this camera and this camera and this camera. And that reminded me when you said leaned against a thing in his cell phone. Here's how he tells the story. Kid picks up his phone, leans against the entryway at his doorway. He's not even fully in the house yet and starts doing this. And then my friend says, what are you doing, man? He says, I'm Googling what the problem could be. Steve says, I could have done that. You're supposed to know what the problem is. Then the kid's Googling the stuff. He says, I think I might have found a way to fix this. He says, okay, great. What'd Google tell you? Well, you have an Android device, don't you? And it's not really letting you manage your cameras and things from your device. He says, yeah, right, I have an Android. He says, you need to go to Verizon and have them get you an iPhone. So this guy's good Christian dude. He's a solid guy. I've known him for a long time. Trust and like him a lot. He comes off on this kid, I guess. He starts throwing F-bombs at him. The kid gets scared. This guy's big, too. So the kid gets scared, intimidated, jumps in his truck, takes off. Security system still not fixed. He says, did you really just tell me to get effing iPod? It's everywhere. And you and I were out yesterday. It's just, it's amazing. The level of customer service it's not even, the minimum isn't even met. There's no minimum standard. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And it's because there's no more norms.
Android. Right? Get an iPhone, mother effer.
Right. Yeah. Bruce and I were on the road yesterday, driving down to the bank, and this long jaunt for us. And he's like, wow, look, why are slow people in the left lane and fast people are in the right lane? And what's going on? And I said, dude, all this stuff, the customer service stuff, the way people are treating each other in the interstate, everywhere, it's because there's no more societal norms. Right. It used to be the societal norm was you're over here to pass people and you get out of the way. And there's no more societal norms. And he says to me, why do you think that is? Why wouldn't there be societal norms? Why would that be eroding? And I said, well, in a society where men can menstruate, apparently, there are no more societal norms.
Right.
And is that part of the reason? Is it part of there is no more standard? There are no more definitive truths. It used to be a truth you shouldn't be in the left lane unless you're passing somebody. That used to be a truth we lived by.
Yep.
That's not a truth anymore.
Yeah.
Is it partially because, especially from starting with the younger folks, societal norms, they're told, are no more. There are no more expectations. Do what you want, how you want, say what you want, identify how you want, demand this from this person.
The wants and the needs of the many no longer outweigh the wants and the needs of the one. That's the problem.
Wow.
Just one person. I stole that from Spock. Remember that? And,
No.
but, okay. Well,
Again.
anyway. Yeah. So anyway.
I think that was my cue.
Yeah. No. He said the goods of the many outweigh the needs of the one. So if that's what we're looking at, though, now it's like if one child, no child left behind, right? But that was said, that was meant in a good way.
It was.
But now it's been twisted to where it's not meant in a good way. It's one person. Okay. You know, you saw this thing with the male boy that was playing field hockey.
Yeah.
And he identifies as a boy. He's not doing anything weird there. He's a boy. He just wants to play field hockey. And so he's a leading scorer on the team. And he happened to hit a girl pretty hard and knocked all her teeth out. And because he's bigger, stronger, faster. But we want to make sure that that boy gets to do what he wants to do. He wants to play on a girls' field hockey team. He loves field hockey. He doesn't want to play hockey. He wants to play field hockey. So we allow that one. It doesn't matter that some other girl got crushed. Well, she should have got out of his way. I mean, she needs teeth now. But it's not about sexuality. It's not about anything. I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be related to that. It could be related to anything. It's like, you know, people can have a child that's learning disabled and they're like, I want them to be in the normal class. But the rest of the class suffers because the teacher now has to spend a whole lot of time with the one child that has a learning disability. And it's everything that we see in society. That's what we're catering to. Well, I want my one to be everybody else. I don't care about everybody else. And that's what you're seeing there. When you were growing up, your dad, your mom, aunt, uncle, somebody told you, hey, get in the right lane, let these people pass. And now everybody's just like, I don't care. They can go around. And that's what we're dealing with.
I have every right to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to get over for him. And that's what we're seeing. It's this. And it's unfortunately a lot of the older people, like you see the things about Karen. Okay, Karen, and that's a lot of the people are even our age are grabbing a hold of that. Like they feel they're somehow cheated as a child that they didn't get to be the one that outweighed the needs of the many. And so they're acting up. They don't care about their neighbors. They don't care about other people. It's I don't know. It's sad. It's a big sad change.
It is. And businesses have been impacted by this greatly.
Yep.
Not just from the annoyance at Taco Bell and dealing with the security guy, but from trying to have a business and bring people on board.
Yep. Employees
have changed.
Absolutely.
What you have to pay them is outlandish, and what you get in return is crazy. That value, it's out of whack.
That girl at Taco Bell is making double what a girl at Taco Bell would have been making 4 years ago.
Right.
4 years ago.
And if there were more people that wanted to work at Taco Bell, she wouldn't have a job.
Right. But she's able, because the market controls it. And so she's able to sit there and do nothing. And guess what? They can't fire her because they can't replace her. We do that all the time. And you know, we've done that even back to the days when you were insulating with me. I wasn't happy that we would have a room of 12 guys and 4 of them had driver's licenses and that we would have to pick like, okay, you two, who has a license? Okay, so you two don't have a license, you go with him. So we've been doing that for a long time. But it's gotten worse now. Now it's where the people don't have licenses and you can't not hire them because they don't have a license. What do you mean I can't hire them? They got to get in a company truck. Well, you're just going to have to figure it out, buddy.
I want to share a quick story with you of a few years back. I was in used to be in the car business. I don't know, a lot of the audience knows that, but I was in the car business, and I would sit in these higher level meetings, and we had all the general managers and owners in a conference room, and we were talking about, it was a standard setting meeting because we have to figure out what's going to be the written down standards. So they'd go around the room and, well, what's a minimum here? And, people were like, not having a lot to say. So I remember I raised my hand. I said, what if we had drug tests and people had to pass a drug test to work in the group? Do you want us to not have people?
Right.
We need people,
Yeah.
Jim. No, we're not. Oh, okay. No problem. So anyone else? I go, driver's license. Again, Jim. Bob, the best salesman across the street, hasn't had a license in 8 years. You want to fire Bob? No, I'm just trying to find the line. I don't want to fire anybody. I'm just trying to figure out. So we're going to shelve that. Because not everyone can have a license. We're the car business. So we're moving on. And anyone else have anything? I have another one. What about if there is violent felonies on their record? Are you not paying attention, Jim? Johnny, the mechanic at the other place, it wasn't his fault, but on his record, it's, do you want to fire Johnny? Who's going to fix that? I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I got nothing. And I'll tell you, this is honest to goodness. One of the things that was settled on was pedophilia charges. Convicted.
Okay. There you go. There you go.
Well, that's a step up.
It is. And I would tell you, I'm not even 100% sure if we went through the entire log that they've stuck to that. But not picking on them. But the point is, if there's a lot of fear in the marketplace about standards, because the fear is we can't run it with no people, but it's a chicken and egg thing. We want better people, but we can't have standards because we can't get more people. You've got to be willing to bite the bullet and take the chance that you're going to be understaffed for a bit. And then you know what's going to happen? After you're understaffed, the good people that are out there looking for jobs are going to naturally gravitate to the place that has the standard.
Yeah.
And then over time, you're going to look around and be like, I'm really glad we did that for that time and it was uncomfortable, but now, you know what? We have driver's licenses. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? This guy's never been convicted of stealing.
And we got rid of all the pedophiles and the bestiality convictions, too.
Exactly.
So that's good.
You took some liberty there.
Well, I thought it went without saying. If we're not having pedophiles, the bestiality conviction should be out also, I thought. I mean, if you're caught, if they are convicted by a peer of their equals, clearly.
I have to ask you this question. Convicted? No. Okay.
Just to be clear, a disclaimer is we do not support. No.
Right.
Yeah. This is all based on a made up.
Yeah.
It's not actually where you used to work. It's a hypothetical.
Where do the standards start, though?
Right.
The standards, we can't let the marketplace, as entrepreneurs, you can't let the marketplace solely dictate your standards.
Right.
But there's fear that comes from that. That place is going to, this guy can sell a lot of cars, but you know what? He doesn't have a license. He's got 3 DUIs. He's been arrested and convicted for beating his wife, but he sells a lot of cars.
Yep.
I don't need to sell cars that bad.
Right.
I want to, maybe I'll have some down months and then I'm going to set the reputation and the standard. And then the people that are working at the other place I've never met are going to get sick of the people they're working with. And they're going to be like, I want to go to the good place.
Right.
Every quality business with lasting and staying power, it's been built upon a foundation of culture. That culture cannot be, you can't jeopardize the culture for your short-term comfort.
Right.
You have to be willing to say and do the tough things and to look across the table at a person is a rock star and you have to tell them no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where that has started to happen more, but it's not all the way there. We are all NFL fans. Right? Mm-hmm. And there's NFL players that have been on my team. I'm a big Chiefs fan. And I know some stuff they've been convicted of.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what's the standard?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The NFL has started to step up a little bit about
when it
domestic
started,
abuse and stuff like that.
You know when it started? When it was just he was accused of, or this lady said this happened to her. That guy played on Sunday all the time. You know when it changed? Ray Rice, there was a video.
Right.
When he hit that lady in an elevator and it was on video, everything changed.
Yep.
And rightfully so.
Right.
That guy shouldn't be playing. I want to make sure I'm clear here.
Yeah.
I mean, I like football and everything, but come on. Yeah, so it's a standard thing. I don't know when the customer service stuff's going to come back. We'll see. I got a couple other thoughts questions I want to get your thoughts on. Did you watch the debate the other night?
I did not.
Okay. Did you hear anything about
I
any
did.
of it?
Yep. I read about it.
I want to know your political thoughts. Who do you like? Who would you vote for today? Who's going to get the Republican nomination for
Trump's
president?
going to get the nomination. I mean, barring his death or conviction.
He's going to court in the spring.
Right. Barring a death or conviction. And maybe that's their long-term play. Maybe the opposition is going to let him get everything locked up and then kick the stool out from under him and get a felony charge on him that he can't be the president. I actually, if I had to pick from the remainders, so from everything I've read, it sounds like Christie actually put on a show the other night and spoke somewhat intelligently on some issues. I don't like him at all, and I would never vote for him. I can't pronounce the name of the guy that would be my favorite.
Vivek.
Yeah, there you go. Vivek. I can.
Vivek as in cake.
Vivek is in cake. Okay.
But I say I'd like a piece of cack.
Yeah.
His name's Vivek.
Vivek. So, since you guys know so much more than me, what's his last name?
Ramaswamy.
Would you know that?
Correct.
Yeah. So Vivek, like cake. It was.
I never knew that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
He says it all the time.
So basically, I align the most probably with his thoughts, but again, he's a businessman and he seems to have some sensible. I hate our whole political thing that we have right now. I hate the two-party system. I hate the fact that the left, I look at the left, when I mostly look at the crazies, right? So there's 10% of the left party that's absolutely out of their mind that 80% of America would say, well, they're crazy. But they get like this, they get the microphone a lot. They get to speak a lot. And the party kind of starts steering towards them. And then on the other side, on the Republican side, you got this crazy 10% that's crazy far right, whether they're just like ultra religious or apparently, I guess, skinheads. I don't know. They're getting some press now too. I don't know if they actually are right, but no matter what, they're crazy. We can agree there's 10% on each end of the spectrum that are nuts, and 80% of America is in the middle. And some are obviously closer to the far right, some are obviously closer to the far left, but 80% in the middle, and nobody represents us. Trump tried to a little bit, but the guy's got such an ego. He's clearly a narcissist. I mean, he says.
Was he good at his job?
I actually think he was pretty good. I do.
How was the economy?
The economy was great.
How many new wars did he get us in?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with you. He was good at his job. And when the people say about his mean tweets don't bother me. The fact that everything has to be
if
the greatest.
Mean tweets bother you.
Yeah. No, that doesn't bother me, obviously.
You've got a lot of introspection you need to do.
If I did a lot of tweeting, it would all be mean. My tweets would, I don't tweet and I don't post a lot of stuff on social media because my thoughts are so outlandish to most people that I
Do you
know
think
to
you've
keep
said
them
anything
quiet.
here today that would seem outlandish
Not
to
at
other
all.
people?
No, I'm buttoned up.
Why?
It's because I'm 55 years old and I don't want to be ran off the country. I'm not ready to move out to an acreage on a farm and with no Wi-Fi.
So comfort.
Absolutely. To keep my career, and I have to keep quiet. That's what we're talking about. That's what the country's been brought to.
So I gave mine up. There's no more of that.
Right.
I'm trying to do everything I can to operate in what I believe is total freedom. I want to do and say about anything I want. And I also understand that my faith and my moral compass will, for the most part, keep me in line.
In check.
It's going to keep me in a place, but I'm going to say what I want to say. And
yeah.
And you are too. You're just joking.
I'm pretty sure if I'm being recorded, I'm keeping it a little different.
Well, yeah, live. You should be. This is actually recorded.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is.
Hi, audience. You're not seeing this as we're doing it. It's behind the curtain.
I have to keep it cleaned up.
I got a good question for you. Since we're very similar and then we hate the two-party system a lot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on RFK and the fact that he's got the third party and he's got the most momentum any third party has ever had in the entire history of our country?
I don't know. I haven't researched the guy enough.
Okay.
I really don't have a big. I haven't
without any researching, just from what I described. Does that sound appealing to you?
I wish we had a third party. I absolutely wish we had a third party, an independent that had some strength and some momentum.
I'm asking him the question. Jim, what are your thoughts?
RFK is ripped. I respect that. He wants to take my guns.
There you go.
I can't let that happen. And you shouldn't want that to happen either. It's the last stand.
I don't want your guns taken because mine have already been taken.
Do you have one on you?
No.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I'm not allowed.
That's correct.
Yeah, if there's actually guns in this room right now, I actually have to leave. I'm not allowed to use. So I need my friends.
Then there's not.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Everybody nod. Yeah. So I need all my friends to be well armed so that just in case I need protected, I can go to your house.
You know, in all
stand close to
seriousness,
you.
what you're saying, though, is important. You need a tribe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As do we.
Absolutely.
And we all do.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I wrote a note here as you were talking. I think it's interesting to talk about the candidates and who's going to run on the Democratic side. Are they going to, I think it's going to be Michelle Obama. I think in the spring, they're going to figure out, hey, we're going to throw her in there. And I think she's going to run. Now we'll see. We'll see how well this stands up. I also think, here's my big, bold prediction. I don't think there's going to be an election in November of 2024.
Really?
No. I think that everything that's started in motion right now by the left, by the globalists, is going to cause such chaos that they're going to say we can't have an election.
Right.
The World War III that's on our doorstep, the next pandemic, all of these things, we can't do it. We cannot have this election.
Right.
I think especially if Trump is going to somehow be on the ticket. Now, I would also say
now if your other thing comes to pass and Michelle Obama would be the candidate, they would probably hold the election at that point.
So possibly, but I think they also know that here's what's, I guess it gives me some hope, is it seems they're afraid of the election. That gives me hope that maybe it's real. Because they wouldn't be this afraid of Trump running if they knew, look, who can just let him run?
Yeah.
They're not going through it. They're
We're
afraid of the
win.
election.
I hate to cut to the ending, but
Right?
we win. Let him
Exactly.
run.
So I think the fact that they're afraid of the election does bode well for, democracy,
Right.
which is important to us. But I don't see it. I don't see it happening. So I would tell you two things as we sit here in November. We'll see if they hold true. Michelle Obama will be on the Democratic ticket as president, not vice president. I think she'll be the presidential nominee for the Democrats. And I also think that, there probably won't be an election.
No.
And if there's not an election, it's going to look really weird in our country.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, and wonder if, conspiracy theory time. I wonder if they, with what's going on in Ukraine and how he's claiming that he's not going to run the election. You wonder if there's a 3-letter agency trying to test it out, test the waters there.
Well, that's what they are. That's a great point. They are testing that because Zelensky's thing is, hey, we can't have the election.
Right.
They're going to throw that out there. They're going to float it, see how it works over there, and see how the American people's appetite is for it. Mm-hmm. COVID, it's real.
Right.
People got sick. I got COVID. It sucked for a week, whatever. It was just floating a test.
Yeah.
The real pandemic is coming.
Right. It's weird to me, even the fact that Americans just take whatever they're given. I mean, 80% of the population just goes along with whatever they're told. So was COVID, was this built in a lab or did this happen naturally? Nobody cares. I mean, it just happened. You know, they always say, you know, coincidences there's usually something behind it. So COVID happened in Wuhan, China, which happened to have a lab that happened to be working on weaponizing COVID diseases. I mean, I'm guessing it somehow got out, whether it was on accident or on purpose. I don't know, but it's too big of a coincidence that it just happened there. But our population don't care. They just don't care.
No, does their Netflix work?
Yeah, as long as it does, they're okay. As long as the internet's on, yeah, they're good. Right.
Yeah.
And
Their heads are in the sand, and that's part of the problem. We need to wake people up. Everybody needs to be aware. Everybody that has the capacity needs to talk about this at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's going to get uncomfortable.
And when you talk about the fact that maybe the election has integrity because they're so after Trump, I look at it as this, that the people that are at the true top are just like, it's like they're watching a football game. They're in a suite, they're having wine and they're having hors d'oeuvres and they're watching a football game. So people that are on their team, like the Chiefs or whatever, that are going after and they're chasing Trump around and whatever, they're just like, yeah, like I say, I hate to get and ruin the end for you, but we win.
Yeah.
You know, we don't worry, we win. Yeah. They're not going to get down here with these AGs and these people that are going out. No. They're just like, yeah. Oh, you're helping. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. You got Trump on the run now. Don't worry, we win.
And I think that Andy Frisella talks about this a lot, and it just resonates really true for me. These people, for what they've done over the course of the last few years, they're so fearful now that they're about to be found out. And if Trump gets elected, they're going to be held accountable. And they are so fearful of being held accountable for everything that they've done that they're going to do everything to stay in power.
Right.
Up to and including starting a world war.
Right.
And whatever else, pandemics, whatever else they have to do.
Right.
And it's a little bit scary.
And you know, they said that on the night of the election when Trump did win that Hillary was screaming at her people that he will put us all in prison. Now, whether that's true or made up, I don't know. But for whatever reason, once he got in the office, he actually didn't go around burying the axes and the hatchets that he had. For whatever reason, he didn't go after Hillary like everybody's like, oh, he's gonna try and arrest all the Democratic Party. But since he's been out, you know, if he wouldn't have decided to run again, he wouldn't be going through the trials and tribulations he is right now. They waited and they warned him. Don't, man.
Yeah.
We don't want to do what we will do.
Don't you respect that?
Yeah.
At this stage of his life, I do.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, I do. And I'm not a fan of everything that he does and says. And I'm not one of these, you know, he's coming to save us, because he's not.
No. No, his ego. I'm afraid that I see what you're saying, that his character and that he didn't care and he's willing to lose it all. But I think a lot of it, honestly, like I say, I believe he's ego driven. He wants to be the president. You know, he wants to be the ruler of the free world, and he's willing to risk it all to satisfy his ego.
I don't know that there's been a lot of truly selfless presidents.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a historian.
Maybe back in the day.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Maybe 200 years ago.
Maybe Washington.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right. Since because he did the big act, right, of saying, I'm not going to be the king. I'm done leading.
Yeah.
We need an election for a second president.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, it's good. Man, I got a lot of rabbit hole stuff we could go down here.
Right.
So yesterday, Mike, on a lighter note, pro-Hamas mobs
This is light.
on Veterans Day in New York City tore down American flags.
Oh, yeah.
To celebratory chants and screams, and everyone's okay with that. Thoughts?
It's weird to me that our government has went after the January 6th crowd, and they went after them with the full weight of the American government.
Right.
But just imagine, it happened in Omaha some, it happened in New Orleans where I was at the time. But after the George Floyd stuff, just think about the businesses that were ruined and destroyed by the Black Lives Matter crowd. what's bad is that most of the Black Lives Matter crowd were these white hippie weirdos that are out burning down businesses and destroying people's cars and things that they've worked for. And this goes back to you get what you work for. And I don't fault people because they're wealthy. I don't go against. I feel sorry for people who have a small grocery store or a shoe store or whatever business they've opened. And by the way, they're probably not making any money. You and I know I've had several businesses, and you have a little retail store. You're not making any money.
No.
You're putting everything that you had at risk, whether it's a little cafe, a restaurant. And the fact that they burned these places down, shut them down to where they can't. And when I see these mobs really close off streets, and now you can't get to the little local restaurant. When you go into these little local restaurants, and I have a little place I like to go to that's a shawarma place. This guy's not killing it. And if you shut down the street in front of his business for a week because we're having mobs, parades, it's not right.
Yeah, it's not America.
And it's not America. And the fact that when you see these things going on, that the police are told to stand down. Like there was one a couple of weeks ago where somebody got drug out of a car.
Yeah.
And the guy was trying to get through, and they were having one of these. I
saw it was in Chicago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they drug him out of the car, and he's calling for help. And their police department is like, do not enter that area.
Yeah.
So why would you let a crowd have a protest that is uncontrollable to where the police are just told, whatever happens in these 2 square blocks today, we're just not going to do anything about it.
Answer your own question. Why do you think they would allow that? Are they that bad at running things, or what might be another reason?
It's a scare. It's to scare normal people to stay in your homes. And that's a lot of what COVID, like you said, that actually did break down a lot of walls and barriers. Look at all the years that I always said, they would talk about tobacco. Like, okay. And I loved your story the other day about when you decided to start smoking. But so I used to always say, well, why don't they just outlaw tobacco? So if so many people are dying and the government's placing all these warnings, why don't we just say, you know what, if you're not 18 tomorrow, you're never going to buy cigarettes. When you're 63 years old, you have to have your 64-year-old brother get you a pack of smokes.
Yeah.
And they said the reason that they didn't do that was because of the economic harm to the U.S. That if they outlawed tobacco, that the tobacco farmers, the people that work for Marlboro, that work for all these plants, all just closing all these factories, if we close it down, it would cause more economic harm than the fact that 500,000 people are dying a year from tobacco. But COVID showed they were willing to collapse our entire economy for 500,000 lives, right? It was like 500,000 people might die of COVID, and they were willing to bankrupt our country over it. But they weren't willing to bankrupt tobacco farmers and 500,000 people are still dying of tobacco today. You can look it up. It's every year.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that our government used COVID to start the fear, to change the way we all live. And it worked, right? Like you were talking about, my employees rated, what I pay employees today is 30% more than it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And it's to get an employee that don't care.
Yeah.
That's going to say, I see you sitting there, boss man. I'll get to it when I get to it.
I would also say there's a chance that that's part of the plan as well, because it's going to erode business. Small entrepreneurial businesses are not going to exist. That's part of the plan. Everything's going to be government owned, or if not government owned, because I don't see that happening, but consolidated to where it's going to be a handful of places. That's the same reason that during COVID, this shoe store in New Orleans that's a small mom and pop place, they can't sell shoes. Right. But across the street at Walmart, you can go buy the same shoes.
Right.
And the restaurants as well. Some restaurants could stay open, some couldn't. Where you couldn't go is gyms.
Yeah.
They want people afraid. I would challenge you that it started back at 9/11.
I agree.
With fear comes obedience.
Yeah.
When you get people so afraid and then tell them, hey, I'm your only sense of safety. I'm your only sense of security. Okay.
As well.
Yeah. You're going to give up some freedoms, but I'm going to keep you safe and you're going to get in line. And then when they start all of a sudden patriotism's coming back and people are less afraid, we need something else we got to bring them back to afraid. And we've got to, trying to stifle patriotism doesn't seem to be working long term in the way we're doing it. let's buckle down and spend 3 generations doing it with kids.
Right.
Once we get the kids bought in, it's going to be easy. Because guess what? Who's going to be the soldiers? It's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the heroes in the next generation?
Right.
The purple-haired kid that weighs 120 pounds at Starbucks? Is he gonna go fight the war?
No.
Not long. Right? Sorry.
Yep.
But when you attack masculinity and you're attacking small business and you're attacking societal norms, you're attacking capitalism, you're attacking religion. So right now, what's a religion we could look to the news and see is really being trampled on? Jews?
Yeah.
How long before that's Christians?
No, it's already Christians.
Is that a huge leap? It is, but is it a huge leap? What we don't see on the news, though, is there aren't 50,000 people in the streets of New York City with signs that are bashing Christians and saying Christians need to die. And that's not happening yet. Do you see at any point in the future that could happen?
Well, what's funny is, and you can look this up, I mean, worldwide, Christians are the largest group that are being persecuted right now.
For sure.
Now, it's not in the U.S. yet, but worldwide, being a Christian has a death sentence in a lot of countries still today.
How amazing is it that there are people today that are confronted with, if you denounce Christ, you and your family get to live. If you don't, you're going to die.
Yep.
And they die.
Yep.
That's amazing to me. Those are heroes to me.
Yep.
It makes me think if someone walks in here and says, well, here's the news. If there's a Christian in the room, you're getting shot. And if you say you don't believe, you get to walk out of here. What would I do? Well, the gun I don't really have on me because you're not allowed to be around them.
Thank you. I appreciate
the
that.
hypothetical pistol on my hip, I don't know if I could draw it quick enough, but I would either shoot that person or they would end up killing me because I'm not doing it.
Right. Yep.
And I don't know that we're going to come to that. I'm not trying to be a doomsday person, but if you start looking at I try to be observant of trajectories. The trajectory seems to be that the crazy is getting crazier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the only way to combat that is for more people that aren't that or that are a special kind of crazy, kind of like you, kind of like me. I think we're a special kind of crazy.
Absolutely. Yep.
We need to stand up and we need to use our voices. And that's the reason for the show.
Yeah.
The reason that the word freedom's in the title of the show is because I don't know what kind of impact it's going to have, but I know it's going to have more impact than not doing the show.
Right.
And we need to have these discussions and we need to get people talking about it and we need to impact their lives and we need to encourage them to be better. Another Priscilla thing, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. We have to focus on personal excellence. We have to get our households in line. We have to become everything that they are fearful that we'll become.
Yeah.
We're going to be fit, educated, wealthy. We are going to be not afraid. We're going to be driven. We're going to be people that are protectors. We're going to stand up for what's right. We're going to be patriots. We're going to stand up for the flag and everything it stands for. And we are going to take back the ground that they seem intent on taking from us.
Right on.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yep.
Good place to end it up.
I think so. It's time to wrap her up.
Remember,
This
guys.
is one of the longest we've ever done.
It is?
Yeah. Oh, by far.
You can chop it down.
Nope. Not at
It'll
all.
be like
This is
11
great.
minutes. Well, hi, this is Mike Collins. Let's wrap it up. Do you have anything you want to throw in?
No, man. This
You'll
is good.
be back.
Yeah,
Sooner than you think.
We're going to be back.
Right.
And look, the next time we're definitely have to go a little more. We got deep, man. We went deep.
No.
We went 2 deeps. We didn't go 3 deep, but we were 2 deep, I believe.
Deep.
I believe we were 2 deep today.
Ready for the ending?
Absolutely.
All right, remember, if the show is providing you a fair exchange of time for value, then I need you to share it, review it, like it, and subscribe. Have you done that yet, Mike?
I did.
I'm not sure if I can check it.
Will
Will you do it?
The internet says he did it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I self-fund the operation with the goal being impacting lives and helping as many as possible become the optimized versions of themselves, and the show's growth is in your hands. Please take your responsibility seriously. That's all we got. See ya.